Daytime baseball from the American League here, game 909, 910, the completion of the series between the Chicago White Sox and the Minnesota Twins. It has been all Twins thus far, and today Jeff Samardzija for the White Sox, Kyle Gibson for the Minnesota Twins. Opening number on this game, Twins minus $1.45, total 8 over 20. Action early on the White Sox. We see about a 10-cent fade against Gibson here. Minnesota now 135 and total around 8 minus 15 on average to the under 8 minus 15. So been about a nickel move on the under, or excuse me, a pretty big move on the under, about a 35-cent move toward the under as far as big is concerned. I haven't come off of the 8 yet. Could see the push to 7.5. We'll hang in here and see if that happens. Not too sure that odds makers want to go that route, but we'll see where the money comes in. And once again, Kyle Gibson from 145 down to as low as 130 in this game, mostly in that vicinity, 130, 135. To me, and I've said this before and I'll continue to say it, Kyle Gibson at home is one of Major League Baseball's hidden gems. People don't seem to recognize his performances at home in the betting line. But boy, they show up, and you can cash tickets with this guy. Just take a look at his last 6 games at home. The Twins have gone 5-1 in those contests. Overall, the Twins are 9-5 this season. Very good number percentage-wise, 9 wins, 5 losses, and Kyle Gibson home starts this year. He's had 3 very rough goes of it at home this season. Those 3 games came against the Yankees, Kansas City, and Milwaukee. In those games, and these are the worst performances he's had at home all season long. Pitched against the Yanks on July 26, went 5 1/3, allowed 6 earned runs. Poor start. Back-to-back starts, June 5th and June 10th. Let's start with the June 10th against the Kansas City Royals. 6 innings pitched, 5 earned runs, or excuse me, 5 runs, 4 of those earned. Just a poor start for Kyle Gibson. June 5th against Milwaukee, 7 innings pitched, 5 earned runs allowed, poor start. So that's 3 out of 14 home starts for Kyle Gibson where he just didn't have it. With those included, his overall numbers at home this season for 14 games show a 2.92 ERA, 1.25 whip. That's including those 3 starts where he just didn't have it, where his game ERAs were 10.1, 6.0, 6.4. Stretch it out a little bit, 6.43, 6.00, 10.13. Those are horrendous game ERAs. Despite all of those, he's throwing to the tune of a 2.92 ERA at home. Good stuff out of Kyle Gibson. Like him at home. Don't ever bet it. I don't ever play against him at home. Either it's with Gibson for me or no play at all. In this instance, let's look at the other side of the mound here, or the other pitcher on the mound here, the Chicago White Sox, Jeff Samardzija. It is absolutely head-scratching, the kind of tailspins that Jeff Samardzija can go into, knowing what kind of stuff he has. But he's in the midst of one of those tailspins right now. His last 7 starts, take away the August 19th game against the LA Angels, which is the mirage over the course of these 7 starts, where he went 7 innings, allowed 8 hits, only 1 earned run. By the way, Chicago lost that start. They've lost 6 of his last 7. 6 of his last 7 have gone over the total. For those of you who like to play streaks, keep those in mind. White Sox have lost 6 of Samardzija's last 7 starts. They've gone over in 6 of Samardzija's last 7 starts. Back to Jeff Samardzija's numbers here, though. That 7-inning, 1-run performance against the Angels is surrounded by 6 absolutely horrendous performances. And if you just take those 6, they start on July 28th, culminate on August 29th, which was his most recent start. He's thrown 34 and 2/3 innings in 6 starts. So you see that's not quite 6, a little less than 6, around 5 2/3 per start. In those 34 and 2/3, he's allowed 46 hits, 12 walks, that's 58 base runners. During that time, 35 0.4% of all base runners have got on against Jeff Samardzija. Better than a third of all hitters he faced get on base here. So the batters certainly doing the job against Samardzija. His ERA in those 6 starts, 9.34. His whip, 1.67. Again, I like to look at total bases per hits allowed, and this number is outrageous. Jeff Samardzija has allowed 46 hits in those 6 outings, and on those 46 hits, opponents have collected 83 bases. You almost, 92 is 2 bases per hit. You're at 83, pretty darn close. So Samardzija obviously not going well at this point in time. Seems to be a group out there who likes the White Sox in this game. The White Sox certainly have played themselves right out of wild card contention, a team that didn't get involved at the trade deadline because they're on a hot streak and thought they were going to be in the playoff mix. They're not in the playoff mix anymore. They've lost a couple of games here to the Twins. The Twins continue to play very well. Bullpen for the Twins, I've talked about it before, what they've built here. The addition of Neil Kotz, and I know plenty of guys out there don't know the name Neil Kotz, but he's been around for quite some time. And as far as getting left-handed batters out, he's as good as it gets. So to add that to their bullpen was a very strong move by General Manager Terry Ryan. Helps Minnesota bolster that bullpen, which was already very strong. For Samardzija, let's take a look against the Minnesota Twins this year. Back on April 11th, he went 7 innings, allowed 8 hits and 4 earned runs. Chicago did get the win in that game. Against Minnesota on May 22nd, he went 8 innings, only allowed 3 hits and 2 earned runs. On June 23rd against Minnesota, 7 innings, 8 hits, 2 earned runs. Common denominator in those 3 games, White Sox won them all. Samardzija pitched real well. It shows you how good he can be. And the numbers I pointed out earlier shows you how bad he can be. And you just never know when Samardzija is going to come out of one tailspin and go into a good phase. So it's difficult for me to predict Jeff Samardzija, but I will say this. As I said earlier, there's just no way I play against Kyle Gibson at home. It's either on Gibson or no play at all. Didn't play the game here today. It starts about 1:10 Eastern Time, 10:10 on the Pacific Coast. Samardzija on 4 days rest, Gibson on 5. Overall numbers for Samardzija are not as bad as the more recent ones since late July, but I can't get involved with him. Like I say, for me, it's Gibson or nothing. Umpire situation, not a big deal here, so this is a game I let go, but I think if you're just looking to play the better team overall, the team that seems to do the right things more often than not, because Chicago, throughout the course of the season, fundamentally has been a poor team, and that has cost them in a lot of cases. I think you have to lean towards Minnesota here. I know the money's going the other way. Wouldn't mind bucking it here. I don't think I'll get there, but Kyle Gibson, if I had to, would be my choice in this contest.